From the dawn of time, our ancestors have left us with the tales. Stories which speak of things that they have seen and lived alongside by, feared, respected, and even looked to some of them as godlike. Modern man refers to such things as spirits, extraterrestrials, demons, cryptids, creatures, and entities of all kinds, and so much more. These things and tales are now referred by most as myths and legends. But there are those of us that know what our ancestors spoke of was the truth. Those of us that have become obsessed in searching for answers and finding out the truth are here. We need the truth. This search brings us into the realm of the unexplained and unknown. It brings us on the trail. The search for living legends. Please join JR and I on the quest, and welcome to the search.
Crazy stories.
Imagine. So you're recording now.
Is it recording or yeah, it is.
It shows on my end that it's recording.
I'm not gonna fuck with it then. I'll let my editor.
Seems like it's working.
Yeah, I'm gonna let my editor work on it afterwards. So we're just waiting on the other two guys, John and the other two. And you remember Shawn and Travis?
No, I don't.
Okay, they were on last time you were on. Good guys.
So, what are we doing? The same thing again, pretty much, or what's going on?
Man. Just tell how you got into this, crazy field that we're all involved in.
oh, I haven't talked to you about this year. It was last spring. I found 2 nests up in East Dickinson, right?
No shit.
I mean, within probably 50 feet within the swamp. Like 50 feet, you're in the swamp. Like I'm just in from where it's all open from the swamp, and so I found 2 nests. So the first nest I was messing around for a while. I messed around a little while, just checking it out. So I walked further down. I found a bigger one. And I shit you not, me and the guy I was with, he freaking out of nowhere, a fucking tree knock. We got
a single.
Yep, it was a single tree knock. It was so fucking loud. We both froze stiff. And then it wasn't probably a minute later, we got another one.
Ooh, sometimes those the 1 or 2 are more intimidating.
It was very intimidating because how loud it was. Because it was close. It was really close. I took pictures of everything, but I have to find them. But I couldn't I looked at my buddy. Well, I had my 45 as I always carry, and I had a 9. So he immediately goes, "Yeah, let me see that 9." Yeah, because he was scared too. I mean, honestly, I was nervous, and he was nervous. And so he's like, "What do we?" I'm like, "Well, it's time for us to leave." That's pretty much
exactly.
So I said, "We're getting out of here," and we did. So
they'll let you know when they want you out. They're gonna let you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Sorry.
So I think there was a few of them, because the first nest I found was more parallel with the ground.
Yep.
It's weird. I mean, it was a nice little freaking nest too. And the other one I found was actually pretty big, probably more than double the size of the first one we found.
Nice.
And it was like
what's up, John?
Because you could actually see the door, and you could actually go in and walk around it. That's how big it was. The second nest I found.
We're kind of working with the guys that run the Washington, Idaho Bigfoot organization. You should see the structures they find, man. They were elk hunting. They went back to camp for lunch. They come back, and there is about a 16-foot pine ripped out of the ground like a carrot, root ball and all.
Oh my God! Wow.
And these things harassed them for 5 days. And finally, their better judgment was like, "Let's get the hell out of here."
It wouldn't have taken me 5 days to leave. I tell you that.
Exactly. What's up, Trav?
Not much. Y'all got me?
We got you, buddy. You like my backdrop?
Oh yeah, I do.
I'm just trying to figure out a way to show our faces, but whatever, you know.
I gotta set you down for a minute, Jeremiah.
No problem. Hey, Travis, we got Doug and we got John. Both really good friends of mine, known them for years. Lots of good stuff. Good wealth of knowledge, man.
Cool deal. Yeah, I'm outside. I got a fire going. I'm trying to get a fire going.
Cold down there, Travis, in Virginia?
It ain't too bad. I mean, it's been wet, a whole lot of rain.
Yeah.
We've had some cold. We got down, I think the coldest night so far has been around 20, 21. And we've had a few days, didn't get above like 34, 35.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's Virginia, so you can get all 4 seasons in like 3 days here. So
yeah,
you know.
Exactly. Yeah. We've been having some pretty weird weather up here though too, John, eh? John, you there?
Yep. Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. We've been I was just saying, we've been having some pretty weird weather up here.
Yeah, it's been pretty mild considering.
Yeah, I mean, I actually drove by your house last night. My father had to stop and see a buddy that lives in your area. I think you know, I've only been to your house, I think, twice.
Yeah.
But could have sworn it was your place, man. I didn't, dude. It's desolate out there. I mean, even more so than I thought. You know what I mean? It's pretty friggin' remote. I mean, yeah. So yeah.
A lot of quiet.
Oh yeah.
Perfect place.
Yep, perfect place for them. Now, you think are they? You think they're gone for the winter?
I don't know. I had something weird about a couple days before we got this last snow.
Mm-hmm.
I set some food out in the field, and I went back the other day before it snowed, and I found some good piles of feces.
Really?
Yeah, about probably. I got them. I got a few pictures of them. 2, 3 different big piles, then smaller ones. Food was all gone.
Interesting.
I put my foot next to it for size comparison, and I take a size 10.5 extra wide, and they're as big as the front of my foot. I went back that night. Well, that day I put some more food out, and I put 2 cameras out, and I went back the next day, and the food was still there untouched. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know what it is with cameras, but they know something as far as cameras go. We had a buddy we just interviewed Travis. You actually unfortunately missed it. It was with Nate from Washington, and right. You know, I was telling you about that tree they found plucked out of the ground.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
that's insane. Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, just insane. And the tree, they had a trail cam set up right there, which should have caught it and whatever plucked it out of the ground. Well, weirdly enough, it didn't, and there was a moth on the lens.
Huh.
I mean, just weird.
Nope.
No, we're just waiting on Shawn. He should be right on. If not, we'll start. But yeah, cool. Looking forward to talking to you guys. It's been a long time. Travis, actually, John interviewed with Wayne a while back.
Oh, okay.
John, Travis, and Wayne are extremely good friends.
Yeah.
And that was good stuff. He did a hell of a job on that. He's a good guy. I like Wayne.
Yeah, I like Wayne. He's a real good dude, and he's no nonsense, you know.
Okay, Amanda had another seizure, so Shawn's out. So just us. So I'm gonna crack it off and begin. We've been recording, but good old Gary's gonna have to edit it out. So if I can figure out a way to throw our faces up, I will at some point. But don't count on
I can
it.
see your guys' face. You probably
Can you?
can't see mine, right?
You see,
Yeah,
can.
I can see your face. I see John,
Okay.
and I see Travis.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay, good. All right, so 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody.
My screen's still black though, right?
Yes, yeah, I can't. You can't. As far as I know, I can't see anyone's screen. But yeah, last time I saw it was black. But you guys all set?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to another edition of On the Trail in Search of Living Legends. I believe this is Travis. Help me out. Episode 10.
I think so. Don't quote me, but I think so.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I got to tell you, I'm extremely. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, glad you're back, sweet Travis, for this one. We have the honor of having two extremely good friends of mine I've known for years. Actually, damn, John, we've done how many interviews together? 4 or 5 over the years. Yep. Dougie, we've done a couple. All of us have done a few.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got John. You're at the I don't care point. You've been that way for years. You don't care about the last name, correct? Right?
What? Yeah.
Okay. I didn't think so. I figured you've been at that point for years. So anyway, everyone, we have Mr. John Tatro. Delighted to have him here. He's got some awesome stuff to talk about. Before we get into that, we have Mr. Douglas Recore. Dougie, how are you, sir? Dougie and I actually went to kindergarten together.
Yes, well, from the second grade on.
Second grade on, yes. Excuse me.
Grade on, yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, and whoever would have dreamed we would have then been doing this crazy stuff together, huh? Mm-hmm. But anyway, I don't want to spoil the fun. So, John, being that we've interviewed you so many times, just it's maybe instead of going into a long bio like we always have, just give us quick rundown of the farm and quick little bio, if you don't mind.
Yep. I've got 32 years. Well, we start at the beginning of that. 4 years in the Marines, combat experience. And I also got 32 years of law enforcement, which I just retired from in end of October. Me and my wife bought a 87-acre farm out near Louisville, New York. Been out here since 2001. The very first fall that we started out here, and I started hunting out back, I started hearing noises, like knocks on the trees. I didn't realize they were knocks at first. I thought they were big plated woodpeckers.
Right.
And they were, you hear the tap, 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 and never put 2 and 2 together. And I never, had any kind of Bigfoot experiences or any kind of anything before. So it just, very first thing I saw, I shot a deer one night, Halloween night, and couldn't find it. Went out the next morning looking for it after I, sit in a tree stand. Heard 4 screams from something I've never heard in my entire life before. Those screams drew a huge coy dog out of the swamp. Coy dog came out, went right towards where the scream was in the middle of the field, and he just got within 60 yards of where it came from. He just stood there growling for probably a minute and a half, 2 minutes, give or take. And I'm just sitting there watching him through my scope, and I ended up shooting the coy dog. After that, I was on my tractor one time, had a 30-06 in my left hand. I'm driving down this hedgerow exactly towards where the scream happened. I think it was later that season. And across the wall, just in the neighbor's property, I thought I saw somebody standing next to a tree. Get closer. And I, took my hand up, waved, said, "Hey, how you doing?" As I'm getting closer to this thing, I didn't realize that it wasn't a person until I got I'm starting to look at this thing, and I saw some discoloration on the left shoulder, like some white patches. And I'm looking, and I got within 30 feet of this thing.
That's cool.
On my tractor, and I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, why? I thought it was somebody hunting, wearing a ghillie suit, because all I saw was string or hair at first, coming off everywhere on this body, the neck, the shoulders, down inside the arms, down through the torso, the legs. Broadside to it. When I got the closest point to it, I knew right then and there that it's like you go into shock when you see one of these things for the first time up close, because you're like, this is not supposed to be, and I felt the most fear I've ever had my entire life. And I've been in combat.
Yeah.
And when I looked at this thing from 30 feet away, I realized that this thing was about 8 foot tall, almost probably 3.5, 4 foot wide at the shoulders.
It's
and probably weighed
big
about
one.
100.
Big one.
And yep. And it was covered with black hair. And
John, let me cut you off real quick. Sorry, I gotta mention this before it leaves my mind. Travis, he just was saying, it's funny, John being an ex-military guy. Well, anyway, one of our co-hosts isn't with us tonight, Gary. He's an ex-Army Ranger, been in combat as well, and he will say the same thing that you just did. It is a different kind of fear, and I agree. I think it's a primal. It's like a primal fear.
I'll agree with that. I mean, I haven't served. I have not been in combat. But I have been shot at with intent. So, I mean, same idea. I've had bullets sent my way on purpose. But to run up on one in the woods, no matter how the encounter plays out, just to be that close in proximity to one of them, it truly hits something deep. I mean, you might as well be face to face with a pride of lions, a pack of, timber wolves, a grizzly bear. It all of a sudden puts your instincts back in the food chain.
Absolutely.
But beyond that, I mean, you're seeing something that supposedly is not real, doesn't exist. And it's so creepily similar to us, and you're in the woods with it, but on the other side, it has such a primitive, primal other aspect to it. I mean, it is truly frightening. Like, just something I can't explain it.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, John. I just wanted to mention that. I just found it interesting. So anyway, you said about 8 feet, and I'm sorry when you said mention the weight. I didn't catch it. What do you think it weighed? Just estimate.
My estimate was it was probably right around 800 pounds.
That's a big one.
I at the time I had a 30-06 in my hand, my left hand, and for one brief second, I'm thinking, this is it. This is the chance. You got the gun, and there's that thing, but something inside of me said, this bullet is not big enough to put this thing down. And I just, we're not going to bring the gun down on it. And this thing did not move. I mean, it did not flinch. It didn't raise a hand, a finger, or nothing. It just stood there like a statue. And I think part of that was because that he saw that I had a rifle.
Yeah.
And they know what those are for.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we both scared the living shit out of each other, Well, probably me more than him, but he knew that what a rifle is for, and and that's why he didn't probably move at all.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I watched as I'm driving away. I'm turned around, my head's because I'm still watching this thing. I don't want to turn my turned my back on it, and I just went right back to the house, put my gun away, and that was the end of that encounter. But
that's
it's truly
that story. Yeah. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I think the next couple of encounters we had after that was with my children. My girls, we had four-wheelers for my girls. They'd go out back in the fields, in the hay fields, and they'd drive around, when they were younger, probably, I want to say it was probably 5-6 years ago. I had one, my youngest daughter at the time, well, then was 9 years old, and my oldest was 16. They'd go out back with four-wheelers. And I was in my big pole barn doing some work. It was in the afternoon. I think it was around August or July or August. Mm-hmm. And they came right back to the house, and Dad, what they said at the time was there's a cow sitting on the edge of the woods watching us drive four-wheelers. And at the time I had a herd of cattle. I had approximately 20 of them, 22 of them, whatever it was. But I said, really? See, they said, good. I said, what color was it? They said it was reddish brown. And I said, how big? They said, about the size of our cows. So I went over to the fence and I yelled for the cows. They thought they were going to get grained. So they all came running. I counted them up. I said, no, it wasn't the cows. So I jumped on the four-wheeler, went out back, took a look around, didn't see nothing. Came back, just dismissed it pretty much. I want to say a couple of days later, they were out there doing the exact same thing. And they came back, same kind of excitement. My youngest one goes to me, Dad, that thing is back. It's sitting on the edge of the woods again, watching us. But then she also said, it looks like a werewolf.
That's always interested me.
Yep. And I'm like, what? She goes, it looked like a werewolf. It was the same color, the reddish brown hair. And I jumped on the four-wheeler again, went out there, nothing. I want to say a little time after that, probably a couple, 3 weeks, maybe a month, I was at work, and the wife called me up. It was same in the afternoon. She goes, the girls were out back riding the four-wheelers, and they came back and they said a gray one came out of the swamp, stood on the edge of the swale grass, and stood there watching them. And my oldest daughter, who was 16 at the time, she was riding with her sister, said that this one was about 10 foot tall, covered with gray hair, and was swaying from side to side as it was watching them drive four-wheelers again.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that's a big one.
Yeah.
When you mentioned the gray, Travis, how many times do we hear about the gray ones being massive like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, here in Virginia, some of the stories I've been told, firsthand and even secondhand, in the same area was a gray one, and they were big. I mean, massive, just huge. 8, 9. I hadn't heard of a 10-footer, but I've heard of 8 to 9 foot. And the biggest thing that goes over my mind was the size of the shoulders, the chest, just massively built. And it may be that, maybe they're like us. As they get older, they gray. And males, typically, even like human beings, men tend to bulk up and get bigger and just heavier, as they age. But yeah, the gray ones here has actually been a real common theme. I personally haven't witnessed one. But it's been a real common theme here with the gray hair. I've heard them called, the gray wild man. And don't get me wrong, my area, people don't talk about this. People talk to me about it because I'm open with it. I don't care what people say, so I'll talk about it. But it surprised me how many people will start talking once they realize that, like I know. I know and I accept this. I kind of had to.
Yeah.
So, the one I actually saw in light was a dirty blonde with a hint of red. It was almost like a golden retriever. and cold.
That's that's interesting as well. Very,
Yeah, and he was every bit of 8 foot, and I'm talking like 4 feet wide across the back. I mean, he was big.
Yeah, and it's not only the width, but I'm sure all 4 of you guys will agree. It's that from front to back, chest to back. It's just unbelievable. You figure, John, you said that 8-footer that your first encounter, 800 pounds. Okay, so add 2 feet onto that. I mean, that gray one's got to be pushing, over 1,000. I would think.
Well, well, the last one John and I saw, I don't know if you remember, John, but it was crouching. Remember when we went at nighttime there? When we saw it through the thermal, it was crouching. It was humongous crouching. It was taller than we were, as I recall. At a crouch, it was bigger. It was taller than us.
The first time we saw that, Dougie, it was hiding behind the tree at first, standing.
Yep.
And then
it was huge.
Thermal off. Then by the time it got back to me, it had moved positions and was crouching down behind that bush. Yep. And that was, like Dougie said, it was freaking huge.
Yeah, these are the guys I was telling you about, Travis, that had the good thermal footage. It's. I mean, if you don't mind me mentioning yours, do you?
Oh no.
Yeah, Travis has some very good thermal, a good thermal video of one as well. So detailed you can see the eye sockets.
Absolutely, they stick right out the eye sockets.
Absolutely. How far away, Dougie?
Oh my God, we were what, John? I think 75 yards or better, probably 50, 75 at least.
About 75 yards away from it, across an open field. Right, it was right inside the tree line.
Because we come up with a plan. I mean, John was braver than me. I was staying back, holding the camera and letting him walk towards it just to see what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't gonna walk no closer to it, but I stayed back, and he's like, "You tell me if it moves. You better tell me." So I just kept eyes on it, and oh my God, he even get that far away from me. As soon as it knew that we were walking towards it, it was gone, and it didn't walk away like it was all scared. It didn't even get up and run. It kind of just creeped away. It was weird,
It is, yeah.
Its movement was weird. Just strange. The whole night was strange,
Right, yeah. In your opinion, I know there's no way to tell for sure. Could you think it could have been that big gray one?
I want to say it was a possibility, because the first time when I started scanning to find it again, after I let everybody else look at it through the thermal, and the thermal got back to me, and I'm looking, and it wasn't behind the tree from where it was peeking from. And I looked over the brush, and the brush was probably 5.5, 6 feet tall. And I'm thinking it was probably 10 foot wide. And the way that I noticed there was something behind it was because I was picking up the heat signature from behind the bush. And the first thing I saw was the foot, and the foot I didn't realize it was a foot until I realized that the thing was sitting on this right cheek of its ass, with its left foot out one side of the bush, and it was leaning on its right hand, peeking at us from around the right side of the bush. And
wow,
the foot was freaking huge. I mean, it had to have been 18, 20 inches, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
The strange thing is, it kept playing like peekaboo around the tree. It's the strangest thing. The way it kept hiding while trying to hide behind the tree. It was too big to hide behind the tree, but it kept peeking around. It was weird,
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're stories, that peekaboo.
As far as the movement goes, the FLIR video I got, this was December 2019, and I will tell you right now, it was at the window of my truck. I was doing some lazy research. It was about 40 degrees, raining. It was just crappy weather, and I had my girlfriend driving, and it was just the area. This is out where I grew up, but it's very remote. Nobody's out there at night. Extremely remote. Dirt road, long dirt road. And going the direction we were, there's a ridge up to your right that's like a 45, 50-degree angle. At the top, it actually goes completely vertical with like a granite face. And when I got the hit, I wasn't sure what I was seeing, because I mean, I use my FLIR for predator hunting. You know, I mean, I've looked at people through it, cows, horses, you name it. I mean, but all of a sudden I got this vertical profile. But anyways, Gary actually got a hold of it and got a friend of his to clean it up and kind of enhance it a little bit, kind of zoom in, because my FLIR unit doesn't take video. I had to record it with my cell phone through the eyepiece. So it wasn't the best video as far as just the technology went. But part of that video, watching it, I would have swore it turned and looked at me a couple times. And once they enhanced the video, it verified what I thought I saw. And as opposed to it turning its head, he or she turned the whole upper torso, and then turned the whole upper torso back, and was pretty much kind of standing behind a tree playing peekaboo. That's what it was doing. I mean, it was just, I think, really just kind of waiting for me to leave, move on. I was waiting, hoping it would take off walking, go up a hill, down a hill, something. But it held that position. I mean, probably a good 10 minutes. The video is only about 1 minute and 30 seconds, but I had been watching it for a good 7 or 8 minutes. Hollered at it, whistled at it, talked to it, tried to hit it with, I shined a white flashlight. I was doing everything I could to make it run, move, do anything, but it never buzzed.
Yeah, well, it wasn't intimidated one bit.
Well, the last thing when John and I was just referring to the thermal there, it was pretty thick brush in there. I mean, it disappeared fast. I mean, the thermal loss, that's how thick the brush was. But so we ended up walking over to where it was, and there's a fence right there John had. But we walked the tree line going down further down the field, and we passed an open. We weren't going to do it at first because it was kind of freaky, but we ended up going back. Like, oh, that's screw it. We're just going to go through. And I was joking around about, John, watch when you turn your light on, it's going to be right there. Remember, John?
Oh yeah.
And then John turned was it the red light? You turned the light on, and then something big, you heard it. I'm like, because it startled us, you know. As soon as you turned the light on,
it was a green light.
Yep.
That thing went crashing through there and
gone. Yep.
Want no part of us.
No. But it goes to show you, I think it was following us as we were walking on, and it was quiet. We didn't know it was there, and it was thick brush. So for this thing to move through thick brush like that, that's pretty crazy.
It's amazing how they do it. One night, you know, I got a very similar story. I was, you know, I was doing a Facebook Live. I was in North Carolina, and you know, I'd heard a couple things, and I was finding some nice tracks. And God Almighty, Travis all of a sudden says, "Get the hell out of there." I'm like, "Why? What would you see? What would you say, Travis? About 7 feet behind me,
maybe."
Poked its head around that tree, and you saw the whole thing.
Yeah, I saw the eye shine. I mean, it was like a really big eye shine. Peaked, went back, peaked, and I was like, "Yep, time to go."
You know, yeah, exactly. And I, like you said, it's just amazing how they get through that stuff. It's incredible. It's incredible. John, tell Travis about the chickens.
Yeah, I shortly after, I think it was later that summer, I got some chickens, started raising myself. Had 32 chickens, 30-ish, and they were up. They're probably a couple months old, and I had put them in my barn, my horse barn, and I shut the gates on them. You know, chickens, they really couldn't fly too well, but they were big enough. They were probably almost a foot tall, give or take. Anyways, my son went outside, comes in the morning. It was like 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning. Goes, "Dad, chickens are laying down in the field." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "There's chickens laying down in the field." I said, "Okay." So I got dressed, went outside, and I into the field that he was looking at, and there was dead chickens, right in a row. Boom, boom, boom. Like something had dropped them, headed towards the woods inside the fence. And I'm like, what the? So I went in the barn. I looked around. I had 2 chickens left up in the rafters that managed to get up in the rafters.
Wow.
Something went in and stole 26, 28 chickens. And there was like 3, 4, or 5 dead ones that they had dropped going to the woods. They must have been hungry.
So 26, I think you said.
Yeah, right around.
The reason he's laughing, tell him why, Travis.
Well, a few years ago, my cousin, and his farm's down where I grew up. It's my hot spot, my whole area where I've only ever seen one other place, which is still only 8 miles through the woods. A few years ago, he had 26 chickens disappear one night.
Wow.
No blood, no feathers, no nothing. No damage to the chicken house, nothing. Just went to feed the chickens, get the eggs, and all 26, that's how many he had. All 26 chickens were gone.
No, and they hadn't been eaten, right?
Oh, no, there was nothing. They were just gone.
Yeah.
The door had the only way in and out was one door. There was no damage, no burrowing, no holes, no nothing. The door had to have been open and closed. And 26 chickens was gone. And I said, dude, what? And he said, yeah. He said, them damn coyotes.
That ain't no coyote.
Ain't no way in hell no coyotes got in there and got all them chickens. He said, well, that's what it had to have been. And I didn't argue with him because he's dead.
Coyotes don't have much finesse.
Right.
No,
Exactly.
No, they're smart, but they don't have thumbs. I mean, they can't open doors,
Exactly.
But yeah, it was 26. I ain't never forgot that. He had 26 chickens, and all 26 was gone in one night.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
John, I was looking. Remember the very first pic you sent me? You can see the brown one and the red juvenile as well.
Yep.
I noticed you cleaned that up a little bit. You can see a third one there.
Yeah, you guys pointed that out to me. I never even saw that because you guys did a good job of finding that third one in that picture.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. In something I've always, I don't know if it's my imagination, man, but if you look in that brown one's right arm, it's carrying something, and it damn sure looks like a skull, like a skull to me.
The what?
It looks in that picture.
Yep.
If you look, that brown one is carrying what looks like to be a skull.
The first one or the second one was further back?
The first one.
The first one? Yeah.
Yep. I'm guessing coyote or deer, but who the hell knows, right?
Yeah.
But definitely interesting pick. Now, I asked you, and John, I did show Travis, Travis, never mention your name or anything, but I share everything with Travis, and Travis, you and I had some thoughts on that. Now, John, how many yards away would they have been from that camera?
From where I had the camera at that time, I want to say they probably just over 40 to 50 yards, give or take, somewhere right in there. Not sure exactly.
So that is close enough to set it off, right? Or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we've been talking, we got thinking, man, makes you wonder if one we couldn't see in the picture had thrown, I think they purposely damage cameras on purpose. We've interviewed a lot of witnesses that report, cameras being damaged, so that's the only reason I'm asking. But it's an interesting picture for sure. for sure.
I'm gonna add, Jeremiah, you talking about it carrying a skull just made my mind click.
Yes.
You know that old farmhouse where I found a deer remains inside of with the broken legs?
Yes.
Now in the last 10 years or so, I found 3 separate deer remains in that house. But I'm yet to find a skull. It's just ribs, broken legs. The hide always seems to be like crimped around the vertebrae.
Yep.
And that's it. And I have not found a skull, period.
It's like
might not mean nothing, but that's curious.
Sure, it's something
correlation, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's something to mention. It's like the picture I have of that carcass sitting in the tree. There's no head there, and that happened 3 times within a 8-month period. You know,
that carcass was by me, Jeremiah, wasn't it?
It was what? But yeah, right.
No, the one by me. Yeah.
Yep, right in your neck of the woods, man. And I think I told you this a while back, but I did call a big cat expert at Washington State University who I knew through some former acquaintances. And I did ask him, okay, is a cougar capable of this? And he said, it's very, very, very rare, because unlike a jaguar and a leopard, mountain lions, their jaw structure, their neck structure, the way their spinal cord is designed, it is not designed for carrying prey.
Yeah, they're not anatomically built to go vertical with something heavy, with their own body weight added or more than their own body weight added.
Exactly. And you know, he said, Jeremiah, even the way that John, you've seen the picture too as well, I think, right? If not, I can send it to you. But Dougie, do you remember how straight that tree is? And
yes, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
And you know, he said even a jaguar or a leopard would have had problems climbing straight up that tree like that. I mean, God, it was 16 feet.
Not only that, I mean, jaguars and leopards do it for a reason.
Yes.
They have so much competition. They have got to get it off the ground just to eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have that here.
No. I mean, it's like here. I have found a deer in the fork of a tree about 12 feet off the ground, and I have found a almost completely eaten calf. And when I say calf, I ain't talking about like a newborn calf. I'm talking about a large calf.
Yeah,
that had been taken out of the pasture. This was not in the pasture. This was about 400 yards from the closest fence line to the pasture. And this one was actually hung over a limb away from the trunk of the tree, about 16 feet. So it wasn't like it was taken up the trunk of the tree and put in a fork. It was draped over a limb away from the trunk of the tree, and the limb was not that big.
Right. So it would have been a very uncomfortable spot.
Yeah, I don't see a big cat going up that tree, then going way out on a limb that really I wouldn't go out on myself, you know.
Right.
Just to put it there.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I'm not buying that the game you're seeing in trees in North America is from mountain lions. I just don't believe it. They typically feed on them, they bury them on the ground with leaf, little grass, dirt, sticks, whatever they can find. And I've actually found that one time too. And right now, technically, the North American mountain lion is considered extinct in the eastern United States.
But we all know they're
here. All y'all know it. Yeah, we all know.
Yeah, we all know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny, down south, you know, I learned some pretty cool things, you know, when I was down in North Carolina, because totally different behavior than what we deal with up here, you two. And Travis, I mean, you're in Virginia, you're in the South. You know, from what I was told by a lot of locals, is what they'll do. And I used to find a lot of breaks, leg breaks, clean, snapped. And from what I was told, from old timers and such, these things will jump them, immobilize them by snapping all 4 legs, keeping them alive, throwing them up in a tree during a hot day to keep the meat from.
Yep, so they don't spoil.
Can you imagine the agony? I mean, just insane. And then if that carcass, Dougie, if you remember on that, the deer carcass, if you take a close look at those ribs, it's almost like they were broken systematically. Which is, and it reminds me of that bone that I found in Maine. It even had remnants of sticks through the center. Like something was trying to work out, whatever nutrients it could out of the inside of that bone. So interesting. It's interesting. It's extremely interesting. Now, John, it's God, that gray one, man, it really interests me. Now your wife saw it, right?
Well, the wife was coming back from town with, it was her, my oldest daughter, my youngest daughter, and my son all in the car. And they were getting ready they were coming back to the house. They're getting ready to turn on our road. It was late fall. I think it was the same year. And it had just gotten dark. They're traveling down the road, getting ready to make a left-hand turn onto my road. And there was a tractor trailer coming opposite direction, and they went by this steep embankment. There was a pond down there, and they said that a gray one, sprinted across the road right in front of them and almost got hit by a tractor trailer. The tractor trailer, they said, missed its ass by about 2 foot. But they said it was just like a sprinter you see on, the Olympics running around a track. They said that's how fast it was. And the other thing that they both said was, they said it was the most evil looking thing they've ever seen in their entire life. They said it looked just pure evil going across the road. I don't know if it looked at them or what it did, but they just scared the living crap out of them.
It was probably scared from the tractor trailer headlights on it.
Well, a lot of the reports, from like pioneers and frontiersmen and all, I mean, that even here they call them, a lot of people call them wood boogers.
Yep.
Devils, demons, the old people here, they talk about hearing these, they call them wampus cats that would scream at night. And now the thing is old times will talk about bobcats, because we have bobcats. But they would distinguish between a bobcat and a wampus cat. A wampus cat was something different, and that's what they called it. Was a wampus cat. And wampus cat screaming, and like I'd ask my grandpa, I mean, like, what is a wampus cat? Oh no, just they holler down there in the bottom. All right. And I asked him, I do remember I asked him, I was probably 12, 13 years old. I said, is it a bobcat? He said, no, it's a wampus cat, something else. And that's all the old timers would ever say. It was a wampus cat. It was something else.
Yeah, that's interesting. I used to hear stories from my grandpa too as well when he worked in the logging camps up in the Adirondacks, and they would see him these things, and like I told you, this one at one time, Travis, but 3 guys left because they told the foreman to go screw themselves, or to go screw himself, because they were not going back to that spot they were at for the past few days because they felt like they were being stalked. They actually saw this thing. You tell me how many tough Adirondack mountain men would leave a job during the Great Depression. How scared would they have?
A paying job.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's like I told you, it's probably been 4 or 5 years ago now. My daddy was hunting my uncle's hunting club. We down here, we can actually hunt deer with dogs.
Yeah.
Use hounds.
Right.
And they were dog hunting. And the dogs had gotten over in that big block where I've had most of my stuff go on. And this boy, I've known him since he was a little bitty. He was Marine sniper. I know he did one tour in Afghanistan. I mean, he'd been there combat, and he was the youngest one there, so he was the one that went over there to try and either figure out what the dogs was doing to get the dogs out, because the dogs had gone quiet.
That's right. Yeah.
And he was over there for a little while, and they said he come out, and he was acting kind of funny. And they was like, you find the dogs? And he's like, nope. And they said, see anything? You know, I mean, they all stand around waiting. And he's like, nope. He said, I don't want to talk about it. He said he got in his truck and he left. And he told them a couple of days later, he said, I ain't never going in there again. He said, I don't want to talk about it, but I ain't going back in there. And that was it. And to add to that, not only him being Marine Corps sniper, him as a person, he ain't big as a minute, and he's dumb enough to walk up to the biggest man in the bar and slap him just to see what he'll do. I mean, he's not, and I literally mean that the way I just said it. He ain't got that much sense. But he saw something over in them woods that rattled him bad enough to come out of there.
Sure.
Wouldn't talk about what he saw, and just flat told him, I will not go back. And actually, he left the club after that year. He hadn't hunted down there since. So
that tells you something right there.
Yeah.
Is that the same case where they found the dogs later and the intestines were ripped out of the?
No, that was actually my great uncle.
Okay.
When I was a kid, this would have been back in the mid '80s. He had, I don't quote me, I know it was a plot and a walker, and it might have been 2 plots and a walker. May have been blue cheek, but I know it was a plot and a walker, coonhounds. And I mean, he lived out in the middle of nowhere. His dogs run loose all year, and they came up missing. And finally, after days, they come dragging in, and they was tore all to pieces. One of them's intestines and guts was just hanging out, dragging on the ground. I mean, he actually went out there and put the dogs down himself, but they were just mauled to pieces, just terribly bad. And, you know, of course, everybody said we'd probably run up on a bear, mountain lion, and it may have. They may have,
but
but you know, a bear, a black bear.
One of these things, you know.
With that, Dougie?
I was wondering if they even could escape one of these things, really. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? If they're wounded that bad, where these things would actually let it go, you know? I don't know.
If they got in a confrontation?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good question. My personal opinion, I would think that, you know, the Sasquatch, once the altercation was over, I really don't know if they'd go after him. You know, who knows, though, man. But I mean, yeah, you're talking about, like you said, you know, 2 plots or 2 walkers, and you know, one of the others. Those are
I know it was a walk and a plot.
Those are rugged dogs, man.
Yeah, they big tough, you know, hounds.
Yeah,
they're intelligent at that too. They're smart.
Absolutely.
And I mean, when you got to understand, back then, black bears were like, you might as well have been seeing like a dinosaur here, because they were not here at that time. Right. They're all over the place now. But a black bear, I mean, I got buddies that I've got buddies that bear hunt with dogs. Black bear's tree.
Sure.
Mountain lions tree.
Yes, they do.
I mean, their last resort is to fight them dogs.
Yep.
So it was just really odd that them dogs, older dogs at that, I mean, they had some years under the belt. I mean, going like they was puppies.
Yeah. You're right.
They got mangled up that bad, you know. That
was
the
it boars out that way? Like the wild boar? Because wild boar.
No, they're not here yet. To be honest,
they're not there yet.
Really? No. Oh, wow.
No. They have not made it here yet.
Wow.
Well, you always hear hunters every encounter. Many hunters you see, you can tell they truly had an encounter, because it scare them enough where they, like an avid hunter, they'll completely stop hunting because of these things.
Absolutely.
It doesn't scare everyone away though. Like us, for instance, you know.
Right. I'll admit, it ruined mine for a couple of years. There's a gentleman, I'm not going to say his name, but Dougie, John, you know, and me, we know the guy. And he was hunting in the southern tier with a bunch of other gentlemen that we know. And this was back in 1980, I believe. And he was in a stand. And anyway, after a few hours, they all met back up at camp. And he was as white as his ghost. He had urinated and defecated in his pants. They said, "What the hell's wrong with you?" He said, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. We'll just try us. And he said, I saw a Sasquatch walk by my tree stand. And they busted his balls for 20 some years. And I actually called him one day and I said, listen, I said, you don't even, I'm not even asking you to come on the show, but it helps to talk about it. And he said, Jeremiah, I don't know if I can. So, them busting his butt nuts like that definitely didn't help the situation.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people like me and John have been ridiculed for years.
Oh, yeah.
Probably John at work. I mean,
oh, I bet, especially we're doing what you guys.
Bad, yeah.
Oh, man.
We get made fun of. Well, people ridicule us, but I don't care. I mean, I know what I saw.
Same here.
I've seen them a few different.
Yep.
I know they're there. It's like,
yeah,
I'm the same way. I catch hell at work.
Oh, yeah.
They pick on me nonstop,
Because,
my thing is always invite them. I said, come on and go with me.
Exactly.
I'll take you at any time you want to go. And they
won't
never
do
would. Oh, no. They ain't going out in the woods in the dark at 2:00 in the morning.
No.
It's like my second experience with it was on top. I told you, Jeremiah, you and John, top of the mountain there. Simple on the side of the road and top of the mountain. Like I said, I had to pee real bad. I was in the car for a while. I'm like, okay, I can't take it more. I pulled over. I wouldn't have guessed anything of it because I grew up in the woods and didn't even expect nothing. But
yeah.
And I told you guys, I'd seen it plain as, and it was just before it was getting dark, but I saw it plain as looking straight at it in the face. I'll never forget the eyes because the blink is what really catches you up. And the mouth is just, it's strange. It didn't even look real. But when the thing crept at me, I literally ran when I peed all over myself. I mean, hey, I'm not, I know what I saw. There's no doubt in my mind what I saw.
Exactly. Hey, let me ask you about the blink, okay? And I think I told you this, and I mentioned this whenever someone mentions a blink. But when I came upon that female years back, when she looked at that rifle over my shoulder, looked back in my eyes, and told me, pretty much gave me the look, hey, you can try, but I'm gonna get to you first. But anyway, now it wasn't a blink, but something came up. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but it's what I saw.
It's like a flutter. I can't explain it.
Yes.
It wasn't, and trust me, what I was holding my hands at Pete, it wasn't nothing flattering, so I know it wasn't that.
Yeah.
So.
yeah. No, I can't explain it, but it looked like it came from the bottom to the top and fluttered.
It was strange. I mean,
very bizarre.
What's funny? I was just thinking about this the other day too, because I think about this occasionally. Like, what did I like? Trying to make sense of the eye blink alone. Like, did it blink sideways? Like, we blink up. I mean, I try to make sense of the eyes, and it's so freaking strange. You can't make sense of it. It's just
no.
It wasn't like. It was just different,
Yeah.
Well, and that may come into, you hear reports about like illuminated eyes, not eye shine, but self-illuminating eyes.
Illuminated, yeah.
And I know too many people that I trusted have seen that and witnessed it, that there may be some kind of lens within their eye, not just an eyelid, but some kind of lens inside of their eye that can cover their eye.
Yeah.
That serves a dual purpose,
That's what I'm thinking.
The most of this thing is how well it blended in. If that thing did not move, if it didn't creep towards me, I would never saw it even. That's how well it was.
They literally live in a ghillie suit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they wear, is a ghillie suit.
Yeah.
And what it's weird because it was like, as soon as it moved, I'm like, holy shit. I was that close to it. I'm like, oh my God. Then you like, first you freeze, okay? Because I froze because I seen it moving. And I'm like, well, what do you do? It's like fight or flight. That's what you think, Like, because you're that close, like, okay, just wait here to see if it runs away. But then it crept towards me. Okay, I'm running. And that's what I did, So.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely not going to take it in a fist fight. That's for sure.
Oh my God, no! This thing, there was no. I mean, this thing, honestly, it wasn't humongous or nothing. It wasn't like a massive I would guess it was something young because it wasn't it was no 700-800 pounds. I don't even think it was 500 pounds. Honestly, it was smaller. It was probably, I'd be saying it was lucky if it was 300-400. It was that small, you know. It was much smaller than what John and I had seen later, you know, years later.
Can you give us a description, Doug, at all? Or
it was reddish, red long hair, and see, I don't want to make the mistake of categorizing it into a freaking ape because I hate that. They're not apes. It's not what they are, and I'll never say that. Yeah. But the closest I could say is it reminded me of it wasn't a orangutan is what I think of the most, right? Because the long hair on its arms. Yeah. And that's what made me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But silent as can be, you know, it was just, and it did. I thought about that for a long time. That, you know.
Yeah, and you do
because it was on the side of the road. I mean, it wasn't like a back road; it was a major road, you know.
Right.
So, but still, it's like it was. Yeah, never forget it. It'll live with me forever, you know.
No, yeah, it always will.
It's not as scary as the night. My first counter was as scary as the night I told you it stalked us, you know.
Yes.
That was by far. I mean, nothing. To this day, nothing has ever scared me more than that night. To this day.
Yeah.
And nothing ever. I don't know. I don't know what could be more terrifying than that night, really. You know, but yeah.
And you're right. Probably nothing. Probably nothing. Yeah. You know, it's wild. You know, the very first when I saw the juvenile was that, and the closest thing it could remind me to is an orangutan.
Yeah.
You know, John. Now that I've always found that other picture you've got of the arm, it looks like an arm. Can you describe that to Travis a little?
The circumstances of how it was taken, or just okay.
Everything.
Okay. I was up when all this started happening. I contacted a couple other guys, or not a couple other guys at the organization. They came up. They were here for 3-4 days. And the day just before they left, they said, why don't you try hanging some food up in some trees, you know, hanging up high. So you ain't got to worry about, you know, coy dogs or whatever getting it. So I started doing that. I put a bunch of food up in this maple tree, probably about 10, 11 feet up off the ground. And I would put a lot of food, different stuff, bananas, apples, bags of chips, friggin' sandwiches, cookies, crackers, cheese sticks, you name it. And the first time I did that, I went back, food was all gone, and I had a game camera out there pointing on the tree, and got the game camera back to the house, took the SD card out, downloaded all the pictures. All I got was night shots, nothing in them, you know, no raccoons, no nothing in the pictures. But the camera would fire off, you know, anywhere from 10 o'clock at night right through till 4 in the morning. So I said, all right, well, I contacted my brother after the first time, and I got 2 more cameras from him. Put some more food up in the tree, and I had the cameras arranged in a triangle pointing right at the tree. And I come back the next day after I got those all set up and put the food back in the tree, and same thing, food's all gone. Took all 3 SD cards and went back to the house, nothing, just night shots. I contacted that one guy that was up here, and he said, well, how are you securing the food to the tree? I said, basically, I'm just tying it to the branches and stuff like that. He said, slow them down, tape the food to the tree so they, you know, they're not going to come through easily and grab it without, you know. So I did that. I used electrical tape first time, and same result, all 3 cameras, nothing, just night shots. And I called the guy again. I said, look, the tape didn't work. And he goes, what kind of tape you use? And I said, electrical. He goes, use some duct tape. So I did. I went out, put a whole bunch of new stuff up there, 3 cameras. And I used duct tape to secure the food to the tree branches and the main trunk of the tree. And I got down in there with my daughter and my son. My daughter was 9. My boy was like 5. on the 4-wheeler, rode all the way out to the woods, and looked up. Some of the food was gone. I took all 3 SD cards out of the cameras, went back to the house, downloaded, saw some nice shots, really, didn't see anything in the cameras. And before I left, I put some more food up, took the camera or the cards to the house, downloaded, came back to the tree. I set up 2 of the cameras, checked the settings on and make sure the batteries are good. And my kids were off playing probably 40, 50 feet away from me in the woods. And I'm sitting there checking the settings on the 3rd camera. And all of a sudden, one of those things screamed at me from probably 60 to 70 yards in the woods. All I could do when this thing screamed for like 7 seconds straight, all I could do was just hang my head and like, oh my God, we're going to die. 'Cause it was one of those screams that this thing was really pissed off. And what I realized later was that I interrupted its friggin' dinner. Apparently.
Yes, they get ugly when that happens. Is that the CD? One of the CDs you gave me a long time ago?
No, that was the noise recording from that.
That's got some interesting stuff on it as well.
Yeah, that's got some great audio on it.
Awesome, amazing. Yep.
So anyways, that thing screamed at me and something inside of me said, "Hey, stupid, you got kids here." So I looked up and I saw my kids. They were froze. They were looking right from where the scream had come from. I said, "Come on, guys, we got to go." I took that camera that I had, the last camera, and I put it about 7 feet up in the tree and locked it in and jumped on the 4-wheeler, got the hell out of there. Next day, I came back with a firearm, no kids, pulled all 3 SD cards. Some of the food was gone, not everything. So I checked those 3 SD cards, and the very last camera that I had in my hand that I tied to the tree 7 feet up, 10 minutes after we left, got a picture of what looks like a shoulder and a bicep and part of a forearm covered with black hair going by at that height.
Very, very interesting. Oh, sorry guys about that. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. And for how high up it was, you can tell it's an arm. And
Yeah.
you see the deltoid almost, Travis. It's awesome. You see, is all that stuff on your YouTube channel?
Yes, it is on that video. It's towards the end of the video. It's 2 minutes and 10 seconds long.
Okay. Yeah, definitely like Travis to check that out. You know what I did notice on one of your I was watching one of your YouTube clips one night, and remember someone from the old group we were involved in pointed it out, and you and I both noticed it, that even though nothing was caught, no type of entity, creature, or animal, whatever, but right. remember it shows that stick being thrown
in front of the camera.
Yeah. Yep. Very just very very interesting. Extremely. Do you still think, and John, do you think they're gone for the winter right now?
I haven't heard of any of the neighbors or people that have experienced these things around here. Nobody said anything that they've had any recent experiences.
I found with the area though, John, you notice that since that night with us that we saw it, I think it knows that we saw. I think I wonder if we scared it because activity there really went quiet for a while. Remember?
They know we know we're there.
Yeah, sure. Things really calmed down since that night. I mean, our last thing there, what is the most we heard? Remember that drum that's in the swamp there?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's about the best we've gotten. I think that I can remember, last few years.
I did hear this hunting season when I was out back on 2 separate nights that drum had been hit too by something.
Yeah. Somebody put this. For some reason there's a 55-gallon drum in the middle of a swamp where you don't even want to even attempt to walk to it.
Huh.
This
Yeah.
is what's strange, and it sounds like it's something big. It sounds like you're smacking your hand against it. Is what it's weird. Yeah.
Interesting, because yeah, Travis, we talked about that 2 weeks ago in our episode. It makes you wonder if half these what we think are wood knocks could be them just slapping, you know.
Yeah, my whole problem with the whole wood knock theory, and that is what it sounds like usually.
Mm.
But the ones I've heard, and I haven't heard that many. I'm gonna say 30 or less tops, and that's over three different experiences. So, me, I've got like a miniature Louisville Slugger baseball bat.
Mm.
I bought it at Smoky Mountain Knife Works in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. That's what I use to do tree knocks because it's light, right size, makes a great sound. But when I do my knock with that, it's a piece of hickory is what it is. It's cured out, lacquered hickory. It makes a very distinct wood on wood, just like you took two axe handles and smack them together.
Sure.
But their knocks come back softer. It's not as harsh and crisp. If that makes sense.
Right.
So yeah, I guess all of us in this whole community call them tree knocks. But I'm wondering if it's not like a clap, or maybe literally like just they're taking a great big massive fist hand, whatever, and slapping their chest, or we've talked about this before, Jeremiah, literally stomping the stump of a tree.
Yes.
Because there's been a couple times I almost felt it as much as I heard it.
Yeah.
Like it was
without a doubt.
the resonance was almost in the ground.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned the stomp, remember we've heard the foot stomps out there, but like crazy. It's like
times, yeah.
Whatever you call it.
Like
I don't know if it was jumping out of a tree or what it was.
I've experienced that 2 times, and
it's
what
strange.
I compared it to, all I could picture in my mind was taking like a straight 6 Caterpillar diesel out of a D8 and dropping it into like soft, wet clay. It's like a deep, just boom. It's
just
a boom.
Yep.
And you can almost feel it. It's not loud. It's almost like you feel it as much as you hear it.
Concussion.
It's a very deep, low resonance boom.
But
and I've experienced that 2 times myself.
You talk about knocks. I got to talk about my experience I had last spring. Actually, I was just telling Jeremiah, actually, and John too earlier. Actually, I called John that day. The day this happened, right in the middle of it, I called him after the first knock. It was actually shockingly, I got service up there just enough to call, but I found right on the edge of a swamp, right inside the tree line, I found 2 very distinct. They were nests without a doubt. I found 2 nests. I found one parallel with the ground. And I found a bigger one moments later. It was when I was in the bigger one with my friend, where I heard, oh my God, this tree knock was so freaking loud. You couldn't even begin to mock this tree knock. I'm telling you, this wasn't no little piece of, whatever limb wood or whatever. This thing was loud. I mean, it was close, and I literally froze for a second. I mean, it felt like a second. Who knows? It could have been longer, but it wasn't like you. Do you remember, John, when I called you that day?
Yeah,
I said,
I do.
John, what do I do? I was like, I'm like, I don't, because we're so far back. I can't believe we're on top of a mountain, miles in the woods. I don't even know how our cell phones work. But John was the first person I called.
And you were in this thing, Dougie?
What's that?
You guys actually stepped into this thing?
I was in it. I got pictures of my friend in the structure. Yeah.
And so that really, really resonates something for me. I told you this when it happened, Travis. I think I called you that night after it happened. Travis is my go-to guy, as well. If something happens, I call Travis. But anyway, remember that night, Stacy and I, we went to one of our areas, and I was telling you there was the day before the path was clear. Well, we get down there and there is a massive, massive tree over on the side of or right over the path. I said, you know what? I said, I don't have a good feeling. I don't think we should go over it. And my wife is very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Sensitive.
Yes. So she goes, no, we're here to investigate. We're gonna go check it out. It's like, oh good Lord. Okay. So we walk over it, man, and we start walking down this game trail, and it was almost like it was a funnel trap. It kept getting more narrow and more narrow and more narrow. Before you know it, we're on the inside of this structure, and you could tell stuff had been bedding down. The vines were intertwined like bars. And as soon as about a minute after we got into that thing, Dougie, I heard the most god awful set of screams, and they were still a ways away, but you could feel them. I looked at Stacy and I said, "What do you think? Is that our cue?" And she said, "Yeah, I think we're pretty good to go now." So, and I can see if you're a deer or a hog and you wander into one of those funnel traps.
This tree knock was right there. I mean, it was just on the other side of it was right there. I mean, it was right there. I mean, I was so close to it. It wasn't even, you know how far back my house is to the road. I was closer than that. But I mean, I was so close to it, probably, and all I know is, okay, it was time to leave. That's all I know. So.
Absolutely. And you gotta, they do something to make you leave. It's got to be done.
Well, I mean, because we've heard tree knocks. I mean, me and John have had them all around us at his property.
Yeah.
We've been surrounded by different things. I mean, what do you describe the sound like?
We've had a lot of tree knocks, but the one thing that was really extremely weird that I found. Remember the night that we had about 8, 9 different owl hoots from all different places around us.
We refer to it as a retarded owl.
Yeah. Yep. No,
it just don't sound right. You hear, what an owl sounds like.
Yes.
Like, what the hell was that? It's like it was just trying to mock it. You know what I mean?
It's a little off,
It was off,
Have y'all ever heard the Tweety birds in the middle of the night?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yep.
Little random chirping.
Yep.
Yeah. I've had that happen to me.
Yeah, and when you first mentioned that to me, Travis, and show me your little toy there and the sound it makes, I was like, son of a bitch, I've heard that, and I still continue to hear it, at 3 a.m. It's just interesting, and we Travis, on our other show, Travis and I and the other guys have a gentleman that lives in Arkansas. Pat lives in Arkansas, correct? I think, or is it Louisiana? Anyway, I mean, it doesn't matter. That's besides the point. But he is actually very heavily. He's been studying a very, very large group for a very long time. He has heard them imitate donkeys.
Wow.
Anything, he said, anything you can think of them, mimicking.
Pretty much whatever's in the area, I'm guessing.
Exactly.
I want to say Missouri.
Is it Missouri? Okay,
I think it's Missouri.
It probably.
Don't quote me, but I think it's Missouri.
Yeah.
It's more Midwest.
Okay. Yeah. But
which I've heard the coyotes here.
Yep.
You get like 3 packs going in 3 different directions, and all of a sudden, right at the very tail end of this whole serenade of coyotes going at it, you hear this one real weirdo, raspy, kind of off howl that. And I mean, I've been coyote hunting for years. I talk to them, I howl at them.
For us,
Yeah. Here they're not very vocal. They're not at all. If they are, it's a very random, I will say, lucky experience.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard one awesome 2-syllable perfect whoop, just a whoop. And that was in response to me, actually, because it was a tree knock. And I was not Bigfoot. This was before I really had accepted the fact.
Right.
We were packing up coyote hunting way up. I mean, it's middle of nowhere, once again, way up across the road, up on the ridge line, where I actually had what I will say was my actual first experience and first sighting before I even realized what I was dealing with. And I was a teenager then. It was a tree knock. My cousin looked at me. He said, "Is that what I think it is?" Because me and him both were interested in it. I said, it sounded like it, because we had never heard nothing like that. So I did, ooh, loop. And it echoed just beautiful. And almost instantly, ooh, loop, right back at me. And that was it. Dead silence. Nothing else.
Yeah.
That, to me, if it was somebody messing with us, they'd have kept on messing with,
Absolutely.
And that was it. But,
it's like you can fool them that first time with the first knock or first vocalization. But in my opinion, like you mentioned the hickory, pounding the hickory on a tree. My opinion, they know something's just not right about that. They're so more in tune to nature than we are.
Well, not only that, I mean, if you're in the woods, they already know you're there.
They know you.
I mean, as soon as you start getting close to them, reasonably close to them, I mean, they're on to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the area that I was telling you about with the loud wood knock last spring. Remember Woody Jeremiah?
Absolutely. He used to give me some good info.
It's the same neck of the woods, same area.
No way. No.
Yeah.
Not my first night up there, dude. I think I told you about that years ago. He said, you go here certain time, and you just wait. And that's the night we had remember Squiggy?
No, I don't know.
Anyway, Corey. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I decided to embed myself. I got behind a fallen tree and I was covered really good. He was probably, to my left, he was probably 70, 75, 100 feet. Okay. So I had heard some stuff. I had heard some movement, some heavy bipedal movement. Okay. And all of a sudden, after it had done its thing, walked away or whatever, he says, "Jeremiah, you got to get over here. You got to get over here." And it was that time of year where all the pine needles were on the ground. Okay. So it was hard to tell, but there was clearly a footprint, a 9-inch footprint. We measured it and all. One had walked. This shows you how stealthy they are. It had walked in between the two of us without either one of us noticing.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Yeah.
And later on that night, we went down, it was like a little ravine, and Woody said, you go down in there and you find yourself a place to sit and you just wait. And we did. There was a few of us, and we sat on a horizontal log that was down, and we heard from one direction, would have been to our left, we heard a wow, woo, and extremely loud. And then that's when we heard multiple bipedal footsteps coming our way. It wasn't a full moon, but it was bright enough where you could, make out a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, we sat there, and a couple of people with me panicked, but no more than 30, 40 feet in front of us, okay, you could see the silhouettes of these things walking in front of us, single file. And like I said, we couldn't see them clearly, so don't get me wrong, but you could see silhouettes. You could see these things moving across. And then after they had went by us, we heard another whoa woo woo from that same direction. And the whole night there was a girl that was with us, and across the logging road there was a beaver dam, okay, a beaver pond, and there was a big tree in front of it, and she kept saying to me the whole night, Jeremiah, there's something going on behind that tree. And you know, I played it off, okay, not gonna lie. Well, after, you know, that happened, I said, okay, I think it's time for us to leave. I think they're about to hunt. We don't want to be here when that happens. So got everyone in the truck, and I said, I have to get out. And, you know, something told me to get out and check out what she had been saying. Lo and behold, man, behind that big tree, you could make out, and again, you know, there was a lot of litter, pine needles. You could see where something had been standing behind that, almost like that was its purpose there, its job in that group, to sit there and keep an eye on us.
It was a watcher.
It was a lot, exactly.
Watcher, what we refer to as, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And in the same area, had a buddy. They had a telephone. Remember the old thick telephone books?
Oh yeah,
the old real thick ones. Well, we got there about dusk, and we weren't supposed to get any bad weather, but we started the fire and tried burning that big book, that big phone book. And well, it started to come down, and just as it started coming down, the pebbles and the rocks and the sticks started flying at us, okay. And the yelling, the screaming at us. We were young at the time too. We had just gotten this. We booked. We ran. All of a sudden, my buddy goes, and you know who he is. I'm not going to mention his name on the radio, but he goes, ah! And that something had pulled that freaking phone book out of that fire and whipped it at him. Hit him.
Oh, wow.
Hit him square in the back.
Yep.
You know, so we definitely were not wanted. But how many people could say they got hit by a phone book with it? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, God, John, Dougie, we're gonna ask you something, and you know, there's no wrong answer here because we are kind of looking into it as well. What do you guys have for opinions on this whole Dogman phenomenon?
I don't know. I mean, there's been, honestly, right around, you know, where I live.
Yes.
Cook's Corners right there.
Yes.
There's been years ago, they've been reported down. We're this close to me. We're talking 3 miles from me.
Yep.
But myself, I've never seen it. And it hasn't really been strongly reported here. It hasn't been. So I don't know.
I got one this summer from a girl who's married to another female. You may even know what I'm talking about. But anyway, they were driving home, and they were in Bombay and Route 95. And the girl that was driving, her wife said to her, slow down, you're going to hit that thing on the side of the road. She said, what thing? And all of a sudden, it was like leaning against the tree with one arm, and it looked, she stopped the car, okay, dead. This thing took a leap out in the middle of the road, turned, and these are girls, they don't lie. They weren't into this subject. They had no reason to make this up. And it turned, looked at them. Now, interesting thing is, they describe it as being built like a Sasquatch. Okay. They got a good look at the feet, good look at the hands. You know, some people describe them with haunches like a dog and, you know, paws like a dog. No, they describe this as built like a Sasquatch, the feet and all. Wide chested except for the head. just straight lichen, like a werewolf.
Huh.
And they got such a good view at it. They could see the saliva, they could see blood around its mouth, and the eyes were like burning red coals.
Wow.
And I got that. Travis, you were the first one I told about that. What, about July, if I remember correctly, I got that report.
Probably.
Yeah.
Don't quote me though.
Right.
I'm bad about keeping up with timelines.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But the very, very legitimate witnesses, and one of them is actually in law enforcement. So so it's interesting. John, if you don't mind, what are your thoughts on the whole thing?
Well, I've seen two of these things since in the daytime.
Yes.
The first one I saw was a typical patty type body build, and the other one I saw it from a distance across the road, right down the road from me, coming back from dropping the kids off to school one morning. Tall, black. It looked like it glided across the road. There was no up and down movement when it was moving.
Right.
And but for the Dogman, I've other than my younger daughter saying the second one that they saw out back looked like a werewolf, I can't say I've ever honestly seen one, that
Right.
had a dog's face or snout or.
You got to think of how different people describe. You get 10 people that can look at the same identical thing.
Yes.
And I tell you what, how many different descriptions would you get? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
try and think of that,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Anthropologically speaking, you take something that's got haunches like a dog, they're not supposed to be able to walk upright. But now I can see something like built like a Sasquatch with the same type of feet. Now
it makes sense.
That's a possibility.
It makes sense.
Well, and it ties into the fact, and I'm guilty of it too. We're human beings.
Yes.
So when you encounter something absolutely freaking terrifying in the woods by yourself, day or night, especially at night, details get skewed.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Now,
sure.
If you already have a predetermined fear that there is a werewolf out in the woods,
that's what you're going to see.
Or a giant hominid ape-like man monster,
right.
And I'm not discrediting credible witnesses that have really seen something.
Yeah, yeah.
But the details do tend to get skewed, because even with the one that I've actually seen that I hit with the white light, didn't see its face, yet to see one's face other than eye shine and night vision for it. And that was a brief glimpse.
Right.
And that was just eye shine. I've actually, and my mom and my oldest daughter were with me. My oldest daughter was 14 at the time. She's 19 now. And I was actually talking to her the other day about it. And I was like, what did you see? What do you remember? She said, it was reddish brown, really big and wide. And I said, did you see its face? She said, no. She said, but I remember its shoulders. And the one thing I do remember was the right shoulder, the upper arm and forearm were just so massive and long at that. And it was, I don't know if y'all can see me because I'm outside, but it was cocked up, like kind of like a, he was turning to run by the time the light got to him.
Right.
But the point I'm getting at is, any quick, fast moment, I don't care if you're seeing some unknown cryptid, a monster, it's a car wreck, somebody choking, somebody shot at you, a fist fight. Details get extremely skewed because you're not really focusing on details, calmly or consciously.
Yeah,
you're in the moment, and adrenaline, fear, your whole fight or flight, everything primal that's built into your body and your brain is going 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Now the more credible, as far as details would go, would be those people that have been lucky enough to witness one from a distance. Maybe look through, through binoculars.
Yes.
or have time to be sitting there scared to death and just watch it walk by calmly and it not know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, my experiences with them have been super fleeting, quick, to the point I even had to really go back and think to myself, did I really just see what I think I saw?
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, it felt like kind of forever at the time. When I looked at this thing, I looked right at it face to face, and it was, it's like, but I remember every detail of it just because it lasted.
It's like burned in your brain. Yeah.
It's burned. It lasted long enough. I said, it was one of them peas where like, I don't think I'm ever going to stop peeing. And then the thing moves and you still peeing. Then obviously like, okay, I'm out of here, you know?
Yeah.
Because I remember I actually tried to finish peeing because I didn't want to pee on myself. But I got to the point where it kept getting closer and closer. I said, I don't care, you know?
Yeah.
And took it, you know? So.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely an interesting topic. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, guys, I could go all night with you too. But we've actually
we didn't even get into nothing yet.
Really. I know we didn't. So what do you say you two come back on for part 2 in a couple weeks?
Yeah.
Caller, let me know.
Will do. Dougie, you game too?
Well, yeah, just let me know. Yeah.
But we'll
Today
do.
was really short notice. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great conversation, guys. That's always a pleasure having you two on. You know, Dougie, I owe you an outing this week.
All right.
I made a deal. I told Dougie Travis, I said, you come on the show tonight, and we'll go out this week or this weekend. So yeah.
The last 10 times I tried to get Jeremiah.
I know. But I give you my word. I owe you one, man. I owe you one. This is it was great show, guys. Great show.
I would love to go, but that's about a 13-hour drive, and I can't bring what I want to bring with me.
Well, you can bring it. We just got to keep it hush.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but hopefully you make it up this summer, Travis. Hopefully you make it up this summer.
I'm gonna try to.
We'll take you. 3 of us will take you to some good spots. Yeah, so, but I'd like to make it down there too at some point.
Oh yeah,
for sure. But guys, amazing episode, and thanks once again, y'all. It was wonderful. Stick around for a second after I kill this recording, but thanks to everyone out there, all the listeners. This is one of our, in my opinion, one of our better episodes. Everyone be good to each other and stay squatchy. Have a good night, y'all.